Good evening children, welcome to YEP Master, the school foundation program for class 10th, and in the previous class we started discussing about the methods of preparation of alkenes, right. So, in that case we have discussed the two methods. First one is the dehydration of alcohols. Alcohols on dehydration using a dehydrating agent like sulfuric acid under heating conditions we get a alkene as a product. In the case of the second method, we started discussing about the hydrohalogenation of alkyl halides. In the case of dehydrohalogenation of alkyl halides, generally the halogen atom along with that the one of the beta hydrogen atom is removed on treatment with the alcoholic potassium hydroxide. Okay. So, this is how we have seen the carbon that is attached to the halogen is generally taken as alpha carbon and the next carbon is taken beta carbon, then delta, gamma, etc. So, we have seen alpha, beta, delta designations for the carbon atoms. Okay. So, always the carbon attached to the to which the halogen is attached is considered as alpha carbon atom and the next carbon is taken as beta carbon atom. So, whenever it is treated with the alkyl halides on treatment with the alcoholic potassium hydroxide, halogen as well as the hydrogen that is proton are removed and we get alkene as a product. Okay. So, here if we observe the reactivity of the alkyl halides, it is tertiary greater than more reactive than secondary alkyl halide, which is more reactive than primary alkyl halide. That is to say that for example, when we have a halogen attached to a tertiary carbon atom, we call it as tertiary alkyl halide, which is more reactive than the secondary alkyl halide, which is more reactive than the primary alkyl halide. Okay. So, halogen attached to the tertiary carbon atom is taken as tertiary alkyl halide, halogen attached to a secondary carbon atom taken as secondary alkyl halide, halogen attached to a primary carbon atom is taken as primary alkyl halides. So, when you look at the reactivity in this case, tertiary alkyl halides are more reactive than secondary alkyl halide, which is more reactive than primary alkyl halide for a given halogen atom. Okay. And if you observe the reactivity of the halogens in this particular dehydrohalogenation reaction, Ri, that is alkyl iodides are more reactive than alkyl bromides, which are more reactive than alkyl chlorides. Iodides are more reactive compared with the alkyl bromides, which are more reactive than alkyl chlorides. So, iodo compounds are more reactive for a given alkane, okay, given alkyl group. I am taking same alkyl group on all these cases. Okay. And here for a given halogen, tertiary alkyl halide is more reactive than secondary alkyl halide, which is more reactive than primary alkyl halide. And in the case of halogens, iodine is more reactive than alkyl bromides, which are more reactive than alkyl chlorides. Okay. So, the reactivity order is very essential. You have to remember the reactivity order of these alkyl halides in order to get the alkenes as a products. Okay. Yeah, for suppose 2-chlorobutane is there. As I told you, the halogen attached carbon is labeled as alpha. Okay. The adjacent carbon atom, the next carbon atom is labeled as beta. But if we observe here, we have two carbon atoms on either side of this alpha carbon. So, this side also we have one carbon that is also labeled as beta. Generally, in order to avoid the confusion, one is treated as beta, other is taken as beta dash. Okay. One is treated as beta, other is taken as beta dash. Okay. So, both hydrogens are available. In this case, what is happening? Halogen from alpha carbon atom, okay, and hydrogen from beta carbon atom are removed. So, what are the groups removed in the dehydrohalogenation? Halogen atom as well as hydrogen atom are removed. Halogen is removed. I am representing halogen with the X here. Okay. X means it can be iodo, bromo, chloro, anything. So, X is removed from alpha carbon atom, whereas hydrogen is removed from beta carbon atom. So, hydrogen and H are both are removed in the form of HX. So, the removal of HX is called as dehydrohalogenation. Hydrogen as well as halogen are removed. Okay. So here since this molecule has 2 beta carbon atoms, and in this case we have 2 beta hydrogens here, and here we have 3 beta hydrogens. The hydrogens which are attached to the beta carbon atom are taken as beta hydrogens. Okay. So here beta carbon has 3 hydrogens, and here the beta carbon has 2 hydrogens. In the case of dehydration of alcohols, we have discussed always the hydrogen is lost from the carbon atom having least number of hydrogen atoms, okay, least number of hydrogen atom. So here beta hydrogen has to be removed from this carbon, since it has only 2 hydrogens, and here if we observe this carbon has 3 hydrogens, okay. If this hydrogen is removed, okay, if hydrogen from this carbon atom is removed, we are going to get a 2-butene as a product, and if hydrogen from this beta carbon atom is removed, in that case we get 1-butene as a product. So if you observe the reaction condition, when you take this compound and it is treated with the alcoholic potassium hydroxide, and heating condition, when you observe, we get 2 products, but 2-butene is the major product, whereas 1-butene is the minor product. Why it is so? Because this reaction also follows the Shadzyf rule. Shadzyf rule we have discussed. Whenever we have 2 different type of beta hydrogens to be removed, in that case the carbon having least number of hydrogen atom, that beta hydrogen is removed, and that product is formed as a major product. So when you remove this one, we are getting a alkene, and this one when you remove the other beta carbon hydrogen, we are getting 1-butene as a product. And if we observe the stability of these 2-butene is more stable, because more number of hyperconjugative structures are possible here. When you observe here the hyperconjugative structures are less, therefore the stability is less. So because of the more stability, we get this compound as a more major compound. So this formation of the major compound as a more substituted alkene is generally termed as Shadzyf's rule. Okay. So in Shadzyf rule, in Shadzyf reaction or in Shadzyf conditions, always more substituted alkene is going to be formed, okay, whereas the less substituted alkene is the minor product. Of course both will form, but the major portion will be this compound compared with the other one, okay. Yeah, when 2 groups or atoms from adjacent carbon atoms are eliminated with the formation of unsaturated compound, maybe alkene or alkyne, those reactions are called elimination reaction. So what is happening here? Halogen is eliminated, hydrogen is eliminated. In the previous case, dehydration of alcohols, water is eliminated. So elimination is taking place. So therefore these reactions are said to be elimination reactions. Okay, organic reactions are different types: addition reactions, substitution reactions, elimination reactions, rearrangement reactions. Okay, but in that case elimination, this is a kind of elimination reaction. What is happening in this case exactly? So if you observe in these reactions what is happening? A nucleophile from the alpha carbon atom is removed. A nucleophile from alpha carbon atom is removed, and a proton from beta carbon is removed. So what is happening in this reaction? Nucleophile from alpha carbon, proton from beta carbon, both these groups are removed, eliminated, and hence these reactions are known as 1,2 eliminations, or they are called as alpha beta eliminations, or they are simply taken as beta elimination reactions. I think in the previous case also you have observed. So let us say this is how the alcohol we have taken, right? So we have alcohol like this. In this case what is happening? The alcohol attached to carbon, if you do take it as alpha, the next carbon is taken as beta. Okay. So here OH is coming out, OH in the form of OH minus, you can say, okay, and H is coming out in the form of H plus. So a nucleophile, whenever, what is nucleophile? Nucleophile is a species which is going to have a excess of electrons, whether it is in the form of a negative charge or maybe in the form of a lone pair. Okay. So here OH minus ion is a nucleophile. A nucleophile is removed. A nucleophile is removed from the alpha carbon atom, and a proton, H plus ion, is removed from the beta carbon. Proton from beta carbon atom are eliminated. So where it is going out? From alpha carbon and beta carbon, the elimination of the groups takes place. So we call it as alpha beta elimination. We call these reactions as alpha beta eliminations, one way, okay. Or if I am going to label this one, if I am going to label the carbons, let us say this is first carbon and this is second carbon. So one group or one moiety is removed from carbon labeled 1, other is removed from the carbon labeled 2. So, therefore, it is taken as 1, 2 elimination reactions. Okay, this is also known as 1, 2 elimination reactions, or simply we call it as beta elimination reactions. We can also call them as beta elimination reactions. Okay. So, what is happening here? From adjacent carbon atoms, 2 groups are removed. Adjacent carbon atom means the carbon atom sitting side by side. From these 2 carbon atoms, 2 groups or 2 atoms are removed, and thereby we are getting the eliminated product, that is alkene is going to be obtained, or alkyne can be obtained in the process. Okay. So, here the groups are removed from the carbon atoms which are labeled 1 and 2, or the carbon atoms labeled alpha and beta. Therefore, it is called as 1, 2 elimination, or alpha beta elimination, or simply we call it as beta elimination reactions. Beta elimination reactions we are going to discuss in detail in this particular topic only, right. For example, if we are going to take the alkyl halide, let us say, okay, we have a alkyl halide. Alkyl halide, the halogen attached carbon is labeled as alpha, and the next carbon is labeled as beta. The carbon atom to which halogen attached is alpha carbon atom, and the next carbon is taken as beta carbon atom. So, what is happening is here in this case, so here the HX are removed. So, the X minus, X generally, halogen generally comes out in the form of minus, hydrogen will come out in the form of plus. Okay. So, X minus nothing but it is a nucleophile, negatively charged reagent, it is nucleophile, and this is a proton. So, nucleophile from alpha carbon atom, a proton from beta carbon atom are removed in the reaction. These two are removed in the reaction. Thereby, what we are going to get? We are going to get the corresponding alkene as a product. So, in the elimination reactions, maybe alkene or even alkyl formation may takes place. How we can explain the alkyne formation? For example, let us take one more moiety this way, which has one halogen and one hydrogen on it. Okay. Now, here if you observe, again the halogen from here and proton from the other carbon atom, the adjacent carbon atoms are removed in the process, and thereby here minus HX will result in the formation of carbon-carbon triple bond. So, we get a alkyne as a product. Okay. So, in elimination reactions, maybe it lead to the formation of an alkene, or maybe it lead to the formation of an alkyne. So, in these reactions, one group or the nucleophile is removed from alpha carbon atom, the other carbon atom beta carbon loses the proton hydrogen in the form of H plus ion. Okay. So, the hydrogen H plus ion and halogen X minus ion removed from the adjacent carbon atoms, which are labeled as alpha and beta, which are labeled as 1 and 2. So, therefore, these reactions are said to be alpha beta elimination reactions, or 1, 2 elimination reactions, simply we call them as beta elimination reactions. So, beta elimination reactions are very, very important. When we are going to get this particular elimination reaction, when we expect the elimination reactions to take place, what are the conditions that are required for the elimination reaction? First and foremost is at least one hydrogen atom on beta carbon should present. At least one hydrogen atom on beta carbon atom should present, must be present, otherwise we cannot expect any elimination reaction. For example, in the previous case, if we are going to have this way, okay, these are R groups, let us say some alkyl groups. So, we have one hydrogen, one beta hydrogen. So, this is the alpha carbon and this is the beta carbon. On beta carbon we have one hydrogen. So, at least one hydrogen atom should present to expect the elimination. So, this will give us the corresponding eliminated product as this way. Okay, when X is removed from alpha carbon atom and H is removed from the beta carbon atom. So, HX is removed in the reaction, eliminated, we get alkene as a product. For suppose if we have a moiety like this, we do not have any hydrogen on the beta carbon atom, but we have a alpha carbon with a halogen. Okay, we have alpha carbon, this is alpha carbon and this is beta carbon, right? So alpha carbon has halogen, but beta carbon doesn't have any hydrogens. So in this case we cannot expect the elimination reaction won't take place. Why? For elimination reaction to take place, at least one hydrogen atom should present on the beta carbon atom. So on beta carbon atom we are supposed to have one hydrogen atom. If there is no hydrogen atom on the beta carbon atom, in that case the reaction won't take place. So elimination reaction won't occur when we don't have a beta hydrogen atom. So at least one hydrogen atom should present on the beta carbon. Okay, then branching plays a major role. So when we have a branching at the beta carbon atom and also at the alpha carbon atom, in that case the substituted that kind of substrate, which substrate? That reactant in which branching is present at the beta carbon atom, branching also present at the alpha carbon atom, produces substituted olefin. Olefin means alkene. Okay. So here what we are getting? Whenever we have a branching at the alpha and beta carbon atoms, we are going to get a substituted alkene. Whenever we get substituted alkene is stabilized by the hyperconjugation and therefore automatically thus reaction is favored. So presence of branching at the beta and alpha carbon atoms increases the rate of reaction and thereby the product forms in a very short period of time. So always it is going to favor. Why it is so? Whenever we have a branching at alpha and beta carbon atoms, in that case we are going to end with the formation of a substituted alkene. Whenever we get a substituted alkene will be stabilized by hyperconjugation. So that is what is the concept given here. For example, if we are having this way CH3, I am writing in elaborated fashion, okay, ethyl chloride, let us say, ethyl chloride when it is treated with the alcoholic potassium hydroxide, halogen and hydrogen are removed and we get the corresponding compound as ethene. What we get is ethene. So here if we observe, this ethene is not stabilized because the carbon, doubly bonded carbon atoms are attached with the only hydrogen atoms and there is no CH3 to have a hyperconjugation. So hyperconjugated structures are not possible in this case. But if the same reaction is going to be carried out by using a substituted positions like CH3 hydrogen, okay, CH3 halogen. So in this case if we are going to remove this HX, so automatically what we get is the substituted alkene. Which is going to have hyperconjugative structures. Here if totally we have 12 hydrogen atoms, 3, 3, 3, 3. So totally we have 12 hydrogen atoms and 12 hyperconjugative structures are possible. Since 12 hyperconjugative structures are possible, it is more stable. So here if we observe, this is alpha carbon and this is beta carbon. So the branching that is present at the beta carbon atom, also branching present at the alpha carbon atom, always favors, drives the elimination reaction. So elimination takes place easily because the product that we are going to get is a substituted alkene. Substituted alkene is stabilized by hyperconjugation. More the hyperconjugated structures, more is the stability. So substituted alkene is more stable. Automatically we get a neatly substituted alkene in this case. So branching also favors. What I mean to say is branching at beta carbon atom, branching at the alpha carbon atom will favor the reaction, elimination reaction. To elimination reaction to take place, we should have this one and branching will favor the reaction. Okay. Let us move on to the in detail discussion about the elimination reactions. Okay. Let us look at what kind of eliminations reaction we come across, what are the conditions required and what are the products that we are going to get in these elimination reactions. So here these are the reaction in which a nucleophile from the alpha carbon atom and a proton from beta carbon atom are eliminated, okay, and hence the reaction is known as 1,2 elimination, or they are known as alpha beta elimination reactions, or simply we can write them as beta elimination reactions. Okay. Right. Now let us see how many different types of beta eliminations reactions we come across. How many types of eliminations are possible? Generally we come across 3 different types of beta elimination reaction, 3 types. Okay, beta elimination reactions are 3 types. What are they? First one is E1 elimination reactions. E1 elimination reactions. I will explain what is E1 and what is E2 etc. Okay. Next is E2 elimination reactions. E2 elimination reactions. Lastly, we have E1 CB elimination reactions. Okay. So, what is E1 here? Here indicates E1, one indicates unimolecular, one indicates unimolecular, okay, unimolecular, capital E, one indicates unimolecular, one molecule, E indicates elimination, okay, this is unimolecular elimination reaction. What is E1? E1 is unimolecular elimination reaction. E1 is, one indicates the number of molecules which are present in the rate determining step. Okay. So, E1, one indicates unimolecular, only one molecule presence. So, one molecule unimolecular elimination reaction is E1. Then what is E2? 2 indicates bimolecular, 2 indicates bimolecular. Okay. 2 indicates bimolecular elimination reactions, bimolecular elimination reactions. What is E2? E2 is 2 indicates bimolecular, capital E indicates elimination. Okay. Bimolecular elimination reactions are E2 reactions. E1 means 1 indicates unimolecular, unimolecular capital E indicates elimination. Okay. Unimolecular elimination reactions, unimolecular elimination reactions are represented with E1 capital E and then 1 as a subscript. E2 bimolecular elimination reactions are represented with E capital E 2 as a subscript E2. One more we have, what is that? E1CB, E1CB. What does it E1CB means? One means the same thing, unimolecular, okay, unimolecular elimination via conjugate base, C for conjugate, B for base, okay. So, what is this E1CB? It is unimolecular, one again same, the same meaning, one means unimolecular, okay, unimolecular elimination, capital E is elimination, okay, capital E is elimination, unimolecular elimination reactions via conjugate base, via conjugate base formation. So, these are the unimolecular elimination reactions, but they are proceeding via the formation of a conjugate base. Therefore, the conjugate base is represented in the form of C and B. Small cb here indicates conjugate base, C for conjugate, B for base. Okay. So, via the conjugate base formation, elimination reaction is taking place and these reactions having only one molecule in the rate determining step. So, therefore, they are called as unimolecular elimination reactions via conjugate base. Unimolecular elimination reactions via conjugate base is the name given for the reactions and they are represented as E1CB, capital E1CB as a subscript. 1 indicates unimolecular, C indicate conjugate, B indicate base, capital E indicates elimination. So, we are coming across 3 different types of eliminations. What are they? E1 reactions, unimolecular elimination reactions, E2 reactions, bimolecular elimination reactions, E1CB reactions. E1CB reactions are unimolecular elimination reactions via conjugate base formation, via conjugate base formation. So, here how the terms are given and how we are going to get the different names for these reactions, we are going to discuss in detail for all these reactions, okay, do not worry. So, what is exactly happening in this case? These are all beta elimination reactions. What are these? These are beta elimination reactions, okay. So, I am representing this way. So, we have one halogen atom on alpha carbon atom, okay, and one hydrogen atom on the beta carbon atom, one halogen on the alpha carbon atom and one hydrogen on the beta carbon atom. So, these are all dehydrohalogenation reactions, that is to say that hydrogen and halogen both are going to be removed in the reaction. So, that is what is given. Okay, right. So, here elimination can take place in 3 different ways. How many different ways we can expect? First one, I am writing first one, let us see. So, first we can remove X, okay. First remove X and then H. So, here the elimination can take place in 3 different ways. First X is removed, okay, and then next the H is removed from the beta carbon atom. So, this is one way we can expect the elimination. Otherwise, first H can be removed, okay, first H is removed and then X is removed and then we can remove the X. So, we get one more type of elimination here, okay. So, see, if we observe simultaneously, both simultaneously, okay, simultaneously H and X are removed, both are removed simultaneously at a time. If both these are removed, we get one kind of reactions, okay. If first X is removed and then followed by H is removed, this is termed as even reaction, okay. First H is removed followed by X is removed, this is termed as even CB reaction, okay. If hydrogen and halogen both are removed at a time simultaneously, then that reaction is said to be E2 reaction, okay. So, based on the removal of the groups, which is removed first? This is dehydrohalogenation, hydrogen and halogen both are to be removed. So, which is removed first, whether halogen is removed first or hydrogen is removed first or both removed simultaneously. So, depending on that we are getting E1, E2, even CB reactions. If first X is removed, halogen is removed followed by the hydrogen, we get even reactions. If H is removed followed by halogen, then we get even CB reactions. If simultaneously H and X both are removed, we get E2 reaction. So, both these 3 different types of eliminations are possible depending upon the group that is removed in the process. So, we can easily identify the reaction which is which and how these reactions are going to proceed. Okay, let us move on to the in detail discussion about the E1 and E2 reactions. E1 elimination reaction or E1 mechanism, if we observe, it is a 2-step reaction. What is this reaction? This reaction proceeds with the 2 steps. When you observe the mechanism of E1 reaction, it clearly indicates it involves 2 steps, step 1 and step 2, okay. So, it is a 2-step reaction. What are those 2 steps? We will come across in the mechanism, okay, no problem. First, what happens in this case? In the first reaction, since it is proceeding with the 2 steps, okay, it involves 2 steps. What is happening in the first step? In the first step, heterolytic dissociation of alkyl halide takes place. What is happening? Alkyl halide, so whatever may be, for example, if we are taking this way, alkyl halide, so the heterolytic cleavage we know. What is heterolytic cleavage? Heterolytic cleavage is that cleavage in which the both bonded pair of electrons will go with one of the species, other will lose the electrons. So, that is taken as heterolytic cleavage or heterolytic dissociation. So, heterolytic dissociation of alkyl halide first takes place, that is to say that halogen is removed first, okay, which is a slow step. What is that? This is a slow step, okay, and it is a rate determining step. For every reaction, we always look for even the speed of a reaction, how fastly the reaction is going on, how speed is that reaction. So, in order to identify the speed of reaction, we look for the rate, okay, kinetics. So, here the rate determining step, whenever we look at any reaction, rate determining step is always a slow step. We are going to take a slow step of this mechanism as a rate determining step. Generally, it is called as RDS, rate determining step. Which step is rate determining step? Slow step is rate determining step, okay. If we are looking into the mechanism of E1 elimination reaction, it is found that the reaction involves 2 steps. First step is removal of the halogen, that is heterolytic cleavage of alkyl halide takes place, so that X is removed in the form of X minus, okay, X minus goes away. When X minus going away, what is it? It is taking the bonded pair of electrons with it, so it is going out in the form of minus. So, carbon always gets a positive charge, and this breakage of the bond is slow step, it slowly breaks down. Okay. Therefore, since that step is the slowest step, then that is used in a rate determination or the speed determination, how fastly the reaction is taking place. So, this is the first step that is going to take place. In the next step, in the second step, what is going to happen? In the second step, then the base abstracts the proton from a carbon adjacent to the positively charged carbon atom. What is happening here? For example, if this is hydrolytically cleaved, X is going out in the form of X minus. So, always carbon gets then the carbon to which the halogen attached which gets a positive charge, right. This is first step, it is a slow step, slowly it is taking place. Next, what is happening? In the second step, base, what kind of base we are using? What is the reagent that we are using here? Alcoholic potassium hydroxide. What is this potassium hydroxide? Potassium hydroxide is a base. Okay. So, the base now will come into picture. Now, the base starts acting. What it will do? Base will abstract a proton from the carbon atom adjacent to the positively charged carbon atom. Positively charged carbon atom, what we call it as? We call it as carbocation. So, to this carbocation, what is adjacent carbon atom? This is the adjacent carbon atom. Now, the base will come and it will abstract the proton. KOH, K plus and OH minus ion going to form. OH minus ion is a base and is going to abstract a proton from here, and what we are going to happen? It is going to be converting into CH2 with a H2O formation. So, what is happening here? From the adjacent carbon atom of the positively charged carbon atom, the base will abstract a proton, will take the proton from it, and the second step will be finished. And the second step is the fast step. First step is slow step. So, therefore, it is rate determining step. Second step is the fast step, which is not a rate determining step. Always, whenever we look at any reaction, first look at the mechanism. If the mechanism involving 3 or 4 steps, whatever may be the number of steps it is involving, look at the slowest step. The slowest step of the mechanism is used for rate determination. So, always we are going to choose the slowest step of the mechanism as determining the rate. Okay. So, thereby the rate determining step is the first step, second step is the fast step, it is not a rate determining step. Okay. I have taken an example of the other alkyl halide. Actually, when you observe this one, in these reactions, the concentration of the base is not going to affect any about the rate of reaction. So, the rate of reaction, speed of reaction is not at all affected with the concentration of the base. So, base does not have any effect on the rate of reaction, speed of reaction, velocity of the reaction, how fastly the reaction is going. So, the rate, the velocity, the speed with which the reaction is going is not affected by the presence or the increasing the concentration of the base. Base will not play any major role in this particular even reaction. Why it is so? For example, if you take this tertiary butyl chloride as an example. So, what is happening here? I will write again CH3, 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 Cl. So, here what is happening? In first step, the heterolytic cleavage of the bond takes place. What is happening? Heterolytic cleavage of the bond is going on, and thereby what we get is CH3, CH3, CH3 with a positive charge on the carbon atom, plus Cl is going out in the form of a negatively charged chloride ion. Okay. So, this is the first step involved in the reaction, and it is the slow step, and therefore, it is taken as the rate determining step. Okay. Now, so this is number 1, step number 1. Right. So, this is step number 1. Next, in the second step, this is step number 1. So, now I am writing the step number 2. So, here CH3, C, CH3, CH3 with a positive charge. Now, the base will come here, OH minus ion. So, this is the second step, and it is the fast step. So, here fastly the base is going to abstract the proton from this one. So, base can be abstract the proton from which carbon atom? Maybe from this carbon, maybe from this carbon, maybe from this carbon. From the adjacent carbon atom, the base is going to abstract the proton. Let us say this carbon is losing the hydrogen. In that case, what we are going to get is CH3 double bond CH2. So, here let us say hydrogen is removed and a bond is going to be formed between these two. So, double bond will come in between these two carbon atoms. So, we are getting a alkene as a product. Okay. So, here what is happening when you observe here, the tertiary butyl chloride in the first step, that is the slow step, losing the chloride ion and the carbon gets the positive charge. Adjacent carbon atoms, all these are beta carbon atoms. Okay, all these are beta carbon atoms. Now, what is happening? Base. Now, here the base is represented as B with a negative charge. B with a negative charge abstracting the proton. It is taking the proton. So, here OH minus ion taking a proton from here. Automatically, the carbon and hydrogen bond, the carbon and hydrogen bond will go in favor of the carbon and carbon. So, carbon and carbon gets one more bond. So, it becomes a double bond. Initially, the carbon atoms are connected with a single bond. Now, one more bond is coming in between. So, we get a double bond between the two carbon atoms. So, what we are getting? We are getting a alkene as a product. So, alkene is obtained, isobutylene is obtained in this reaction, or it is taken as 2-methyl propene is obtained in this reaction. So, the base is abstracting the proton. So, B and H are going out. Here OH minus ion abstracting the proton. So, here water is going out. H2O is going out. So, what is happening exactly? If you observe this reaction mechanism, first halogen is removed, followed by hydrogen is removed. Halogen and hydrogen both are removed. So, therefore, it is a dehydrohalogenation reaction. Therefore, it is a dehydrohalogenation reaction. So, dehydrohalogenation taking place, but first halogen is removed, then we are removing the proton with the help of the base, and first step is the slow step, whereas the second step is the fast step. First step is the slow step, whereas second step is fast step. So, if you observe here, what we are going, as I told you, always slow step we are going to consider for the rate determination, speed determination, velocity of the reaction determination, we always consider slow step. So, this is the slow step. So, how many species are involved in this slow step? How many species involved in this case? Only one species is involved. Okay. If you observe here, this species and this species both are involved in the second step, but second step is the fast step. So, we won't consider the fast step for rate determination. We always consider the slow step for the rate determination. In slow step, how many species are present at the reactant side? At the reactant side, only one species is present, only one molecule is present. What is that? The tertiary butyl chloride. Therefore, this reaction is E1, 1 means unimolecular. How many molecules are present in the rate determination step? Only one molecule. What is that? Tertiary butyl chloride is present, and therefore, the reaction is said to be E1 elimination reaction. It is observed experimentally that doubling the concentration of tertiary butyl chloride, since we are taking, or the first step if we observe, what is there? Tertiary butyl chloride. If we are increasing the concentration of tertiary butyl chloride, automatically what is happening? Doubles the rate of reaction. Rate also becomes double. When you are increasing the concentration of tertiary butyl by 2 times, rate also increasing by 2 times. What does it indicate? Rate is rate of reaction, velocity of reaction directly proportional to the concentration of tertiary butyl chloride. So, concentration of tertiary butyl chloride is increasing. And one more concept here, but by on changing the concentration of the base, by changing the concentration of base, can we expect any effect? No effect is seen with respect to the velocity or the speed of the reaction. So, therefore, what we can write? We can write rate is equal to some constant K into tertiary butyl chloride concentration. So, here rate of reaction, velocity of reaction depending only on the molecule concentration. What is that? Only one molecule concentration, that is alkyl halide which we are using. So, therefore, this reaction is E1 reaction, unimolecular elimination reaction. Since the rate of reaction depends upon the concentration of only one reactant, generally it is taken as first order kinetics, and this reaction is said to be unimolecular. This reaction is said to be unimolecular reaction. Right. Students, I think you have enjoyed today's class with respect to the E1 beta elimination reactions, E1 reactions. We will discuss some more concept with respect to the event reaction, followed by the E2 reactions and the Saidjev product formation and Hoffman product formations in the next class. Okay. Until then, have a nice time. Thank you.